Hi, Andrea. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you on.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. This is really cool.
So, how have things been going this year so far? Like, what have you been up to?
It's been busy. I mean, it's funny because like before you release music, you're just like, I know what's gonna happen. But I mean, Made Me Cry has been doing pretty awesome so far. And then, I mean, we're a week in and it's been added to some pretty cool playlists and we've gotten some really cool press out of it. So all good things, I'm sure, to come.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. And we'll get into that song in a minute. I really do love that song. Um,
Thanks.
so let's get right into it. So I love your music, and I love how you're doing pop country, and your
Thank
voice is
you.
just so beautiful. And I know you came from a musical family, but what made you get into music?
So I don't know. I always kind of grew up playing instruments. We were always a very creative family. My family's from Los Angeles, and we're all musical in the way of like we're all in the touring industry or production or lighting, whatever. So I feel like when you see people that are doing that as a career, it was never really like you're doing music. Like my parents never. Everybody's always been really supportive in our family, so I feel like I was very lucky to do that. But yeah, I guess I was always just into singing and everything, and it just kind of led me here.
Awesome. Like, have you been singing like your entire life, or was that just kind of?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so cliche, but yes, I was always singing and playing instruments as a kid. Like I learned violin when I was really little, like when I was like 5 years old to whatever age, and I do not know how to play it anymore. Piano, guitar, so like just always those kind of activities. I was more of a musical gal, not a sports gal.
Okay, nice. So we'll get into your music. So the first song you have for us is your latest single called Made Me Cry. So what's the story behind that song?
So the story about that song, I wrote it with David Espinoza and Nino Soro. David was a writer on Used To, so I wrote with him a bunch here in Nashville. And it was actually the first time we all wrote together. And we were just kind of bouncing off the idea of when you leave that toxic relationship behind. And it doesn't have to be a relationship too. It could be like a work situation, a friendship or whatever, just a thing that's not serving you well. It's when that person is blaming you for that kind of, for their behavior. And that's kind of what we had fun with the visuals. I was like, it's not the girl crying. She's like, that's why we've got the champagne going. She's partying. She's like okay without it. So it's more of that empowerment of when you say bye to that situation.
Awesome. Was that like based on a real experience or just sort of a general?
Yes, we
Yeah.
haven't had the best luck in that department. So
Uh,
a lot of my, a lot of my songwriting comes from true experiences.
nice. And yeah, and I think that's what people really connect to too, because like I said, I really love this song, and I think it's so catchy. It gets stuck in my head.
Thanks.
But that like sort of honesty in it, I think, is what people are really connecting to as well. So nice.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's get to that song. So here is Made Me Cry. So what made you go into country music?
That's a question I always get.
Hmm.
And I would say that influence kind of came from, I did grow up in Virginia for some time as a
Mm.
kid and kind of just always grew up listening to country music. 90s country obviously was, huge at the time. I'm a 90s baby, but powerhouses like Shania Twain and Faith Hill, the Dixie Chicks at the time too, were always just big influences in my life. And I even followed Carrie and Miranda's careers from like a small age. So just seeing these females that tell these really crazy, powerful stories while using their really talented, gifted voices always was something, I listen to all genres of music, but country, there's something about just like the storytelling, honesty about it, the production, it's one of the few genres where there's still a lot of live instrumentation, which is just always really fascinating to me.
Yeah, and I think those like 90s country was sort of like the epitome of like really good country. And like I'm a big Shania Twain fan. Like I listened to that Come
Oh,
On Over
she's
CD
fabulous.
like till it broke. But yeah, and yeah, I can hear that influence in your music as well. And I think you do that really well. Uh,
Thank you.
so as a songwriter, how'd you start getting into songwriting?
I picked up guitar at a young age it was like kind of chords. Honestly, it was when Taylor Swift came out. I was in high school, you're crying over the dumb boy in school and you just learn to kind of put those feelings into words and a melody. So I feel like it sounds so silly, but I feel like that's kind of how my generation of songwriters and my peers kind of grew up doing that. I mean, yeah, I've always just really loved writing lyrics and putting that all together. So definitely high school is when I started doing that.
Yeah. And you in Nashville, you do a lot of co-writing. So how has that been, working with other artists or other co-writers as well?
It's been good. You know, when I moved here, I knew a lot of friends from college. A lot of us from Los Angeles are now here. So it was always really easy to kind of link up. But I feel like I stick a lot to like the same kind of people just because I feel songwriting such a vulnerable thing. It's like it's literally like walking into a therapy session and putting it all out there. So you know, you have your people that just get you, and you know, there's some rights where you're like, I don't know if I vibe with that person, but something personal is just that's not my style. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've found like a very solid friend group of writers that we just kind of get each other's vibes. And even if we're in a write and it's heading in a certain direction and it doesn't stick with me, I'm like, this is a great song for her. This is going to be a great song for him. So we've kind of all, I don't know, just like it's a weird little system that works.
Yeah, that's great. And you went to school for music business, I think it was.
Yes, music business and vocal performance. It's a contemporary arts college in Los Angeles called Musicians Institute. It's right in the heart of Hollywood.
Oh, cool. And I guess like the stuff you've learned there has really helped you as well with your career.
Totally. I mean, I was an intern at one point for a music management company, and I feel like you just get to see, I just learned a lot. And I feel like Los Angeles too is just so go, go, go and very cutthroat. So I feel like I just learned a lot of life experience in general with the industry.
Awesome. So let's get to some music. So the next song you picked was Gunpowder and Lead by Miranda Lambert, which honestly, all the songs you picked on for this are like songs I love. So
Yay.
So what made you choose this song?
That song is actually one of the like first songs that I used to always use at auditions or just learn how to play on this. Like when somebody's like, "Oh, can you play this?" Yeah, sure. That was just like on the spot. I love Miranda, and I feel like her sassiness and her all of it, the attitude is definitely something that I've always been super inspired at in my music, and that's just such a good song.
It is. So here is Gunpowder and Lead by Miranda Lambert. So as you mentioned, you are originally from LA. So how is that move from LA to Nashville? Because they're, pretty different vibes.
Yeah, it's been like the best. I've been here now almost 5 years, which is crazy. It's gone by really quick. But aside from the weather, I love the people. I love the energy that it has. I have a friend that just moved from Los Angeles recently, and she's like, it was the best thing I've done for my career. And it's just, there's just more sense of community, whether it's like in songwriting or with your visuals. Everybody here, for the most part, of course, is willing to kind of help you and genuinely want to partner together and go up together. So it's really cool. I love that there's no traffic. I love little things like that here. People are just so nice.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what are some of your favorite spots in Nashville? So, like, if you were to take someone around Nashville, like, where would you take them?
That's a good question. I feel like I'm such a foodie, so I feel like I really like just honestly scouting new restaurants. Like Germantown's a really cool local, like, all the locals are out. There's a lot of really cool little bars, a lot of shopping and stuff. I usually really, my friends and family used to love being there. 12 South is always a fun, cute little time to show people. And I know a lot of us locals don't want to go to Broadway, but you take them there anyways because it's like Vegas times 10.
Yeah. Nice. So how has it been like pursuing your dreams in Nashville? Have you come up with any challenges or any really cool things that have happened?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously am a female and I am Latina, so it's obviously been different. I feel like my experience going to radio or doing little things like that a couple years ago was very different to now. I feel like there's just more diversity coming into, I mean, we're just living in really different times right now, which is great in so many ways because a lot of change is happening. So I feel like I've been lucky to kind of see all of that kind of starting to, come into fruition for me. So I've been able to land some cool opportunities. My single a year ago, Bed You Made, made its CMT debut. So it's, you know, celebrating those little wins. So let's just keep our fingers crossed for this momentum that we're getting.
Awesome. So speaking of Bed You Made, the next song you picked was your song called Bed You Made, which was released last year. So what's the story behind that song?
The song is pretty self-explanatory. The lyrics and everything, it is based off of a true experience. He gave me a lot of awesome content, so thank you. Shout out to him. But no, I mean, I wrote that song with my friend Haley Cardona and Emily Davis. And the way it actually started is I had this idea, and it was almost like venting, but not, and it just turned to a song. And my friend and I, for some reason, were not able to meet up in that moment. I was like, can you FaceTime? We wrote it over FaceTime before like these Zoom things or the pandemic was a thing.
Nice. So, well, let's get to that song. So here is Bed You Made. So how do you stay inspired to go after your dreams?
I feel like you just have to keep going. It's just like any other job. You just, obviously with the music industry, and especially times right now with the pandemic, everything's so wishy-washy, but you just have to keep going forward. I feel like it's really easy to get drained with social media and comparing and all of that, but you just gotta, I mean, it's easier said than done, but you gotta just stay in your own lane, realize that you're only getting the highlight reel of people's lives on social media too, and not to take anything personally too.
That's great advice, because that is like something that I think everybody does is we
for
compare
sure. I mean,
ourselves.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So what's like one lesson you've learned in your music career so far?
To just keep going for more, better, just getting better. I feel like I was had this conversation with a friend the other day. I was like, when is this happening? When is this going to happen? And I even think about myself a year or two ago, completely different performance wise, completely different. So, you know, I think you just have to work to just try to get better and better and surround yourself by people who are better, because that just challenges you.
Yeah. And I think also like being where you are in Nashville, there's a lot of opportunities to be around people who are doing really like cool things. So you can
and it just makes you want to go for it more. You
Mhm.
just seek out advice from those kind of people who have been through this versus what you've been through, you know? So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. So kind of going into careers and working in Nashville, the next song you picked was Circles Around This Town by Maren. So what made you pick this song?
That song, I mean, it's obviously so new, and first of all, I am the biggest, I love her so much. I think that I've been following her career since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when that song, like, I feel like me and a lot of friends, like, as soon as we heard it, I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, it's like her reflecting on this career, but it Circles Around This Town is just such a cool little metaphor that she used, because it's like you just have to realize that everybody, even the person that you think shot up overnight, like, they went through it too. You know what I mean? So it's just inspiring to be like, your moment's coming. Don't worry about it. Like, it's a timing thing. So I feel like hearing someone like her relating to that was pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I really love this song too. And I love that metaphor of circles around this town and trying to write circles around this town.
Yeah.
Well, here is Circles Around This Town by Maren. So what does country music mean to you?
Honesty. I feel like it's the most true, raw, real genre out there right now. I love the message behind the songs, and I think it's just a genre that values the songwriters. And I think that's just so freaking important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the storytelling and songwriting is such a big part of it. And I think you do a really good job of that too in your songs, where you
Thank
are
you.
like, getting into the emotion and telling the story at the same time. And you just do it really well. So
Thanks. I appreciate that.
do you have anything coming up? Like, I know you just released your new single, but do you have anything like a music video or anything coming up with that?
We do have a video coming out for it soon. I know the little teaser video that's on Spotify, just a little taste of it, but we do have some fun content coming out with that. I'm doing this Instagram live weekly thing where I feature a bunch of really awesome female artists that I admire. So that's cool. I think that's another thing with the pandemic. We've been able to be like, oh, we can use our technology to kind of connect with more people. So that's been fun. We're currently in the studio, and I'm not gonna jinx myself, but I think there may be an album by the end of the year.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to that. And I saw on your TikTok that you did like a DIY photo shoot for your new
Yes, we did that in my dining area.
So how did you come up with that idea?
Pinterest. I feel like I just had this specific vision. I wanted to play up the anti-Valentine's Day theme, and I was like, okay, pink. I want shiny. I want this. I want that. Ooh, I see a disco ball. And honestly, so the girl, Jessica Amerson, who directed and shot the whole thing, her and I have been working together for years. And we're like, let's just do it at one of our houses. Like, what are we thinking? And I don't know. It was a day of just a lot of Amazon shopping and all the things. And I don't know, it was really cool to set up. It was just crazy. My roommate came downstairs and was like, oh my God, what did you do?
Awesome. Well, they look great. So
thanks.
So let's getting back to some more music. The last song of yours that you picked was called Used To, which was also released last year. So what's the story behind that song?
Used To, also from a personal experience. I wrote that with David Espinoza, who's a writer on Made Me Cry. That song is definitely the most vulnerable one that I've put out to date. It's definitely about when you get to the end of that situation that's obviously at a dead end, and you're trying to savor that last little bit of something before letting go. So that's what Used To was. It was very vulnerable, and that song was just so easy to write.
Awesome. Was this all the same person that you got all these songs from?
It was. Yeah. He sounds like a gem, huh?
Well, hey, you got a lot of great songs out of it, so I mean.
Exactly.
Well, here is Used To. So we'll do 5 quick questions, so just whatever comes to the top of your mind, just for fun. Okay, so the cool. first one is your favorite snack food.
Ooh, okay. That's really hard. I love popcorn, and I sprinkle tahini on it. It's my favorite.
I saw your TikTok about that.
It's so good.
One place you would love to travel
to? Paris. I've been wanting to plan a Europe trip like that, and yeah, that's on my list.
Nice. Favorite holiday?
I'm gonna go with Christmas because there's just so much food and family time.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I'm allergic.
Okay. And your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? I'm a big Bravo person. Also big Schitt's Creek fan right now.
Yes. I live pretty close to the motel where that show is shot.
So. Okay, you kind of remind me of Stevie.
I've never actually seen the show, but yeah, I know a lot of people love it, but I live pretty close to that hotel.
It's so fun, and she's super cute, and I'm like, you kind of remind me of her.
Awesome. So where can people find you online?
So you can find me on AndreaVasquezOfficial.com, Instagram at Andrea Vasquez. Honestly, Instagram's probably the best because I've got all my links on there. Stream my music, Andrea Vasquez, on Spotify, Apple Music, however you like to stream your music.
Awesome. And I'll have all those linked in the show description, so you can just go hit the links there so you don't have to go search for it.
Yay.
All right, so the last song you picked was If My Name Was Whiskey by Carly Pearce off her new album. So what made you pick that song?
That song, first of all, she is getting her moment, and I am so happy for her because I think she's such a great vocalist. I love her songwriting so much. I was a big fan of Busby, her producer, before he passed. And that song, when I was going through all the things, hit me like that, and I was like, wow, that I just love how it's written so much.
Yeah, and that album's really good. I've been listening.
So good. Oh my gosh, I have like chills thinking about it.
Yeah, it's nice to see her kind of go more in that sort of country direction as opposed to sort of what she was kind of doing before. Not that it wasn't like bad before, but it was just nice to see her like her writing kind of really shine through, I find, in this album.
I agree. Oh, her new stuff is awesome. You just feel every emotion, and I love that. And it's what I kind of hope to do in my music as well.
I think you do that.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for joining me on this episode. And thanks so much for listening. And be sure to come back next week for more country music.